Hi, I'm Lily from Lily Vanilli Bakery and I'm baking today with Guittard. I'm going to make a tart which is really a celebration of chocolate. I've got a rye chocolate pastry and an Ancho Chilli infused ganache, another Szechuan ganache. So for the pastry, it's a lot like a cookie. So it's a really crumbly, chocolatey, biscuity base. So the method is a lot like a cookie too. Just cream, butter and sugar. And then I've just got one egg yolk. So in this bowl I've got rye flour and Cocoa Rouge, and just beat that just to combine. A little bit of sea salt. So that's perfect. You really want to mix that just to get everything combined evenly. And you end up with this really wet dough that you need to rest for at least 2 hours. You can leave it in overnight, but make sure you rest it just to bring it together. So I'm just going to roll out our pastry. It is, like I said before, it's a really sticky dough. So when you pull it out of the fridge to bring it to temperature, you just want to really keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't get too wet. So it's quite an unforgiving dough. It really gets very soft, but it pays off because you just get the loveliest, crumbliest pastry at the end. You just want to be really careful with it. And I give myself a much thicker crust than I would on a normal pastry shell. So it's got such a lovely texture. It just helps it hold up better when it's in the oven. So just line these really carefully. And I'm going to leave a raw edge. Pop them back in the freezer for a little while. So I've finished resting the pastry and I'm just going to trim it before we blind bake it. With normal pastry, I'd trim it straight away, but just because this is so soft, just give it a little while in the fridge so you can get a really clean cut. So I'm just going to get a separate tray for my trimmings, give them a bit of space, and keep them nice and uneven so you get lots of different texture and crunch. And then for my pastry, just a little bit of paper to line. I'm going to pop them in the oven, 180 degrees, and bake them for about 20-25 minutes. You'll be able to tell when the pastry starts to crisp. It's really quite soft right up until it's done. So just keep an eye on it after about 25 minutes. So I'm going to make the first of our 2 ganaches, both really simple, just equal parts, double cream, and I'm using the Premiere Etoile chocolate. So this one has Ancho Chilli, which is really lovely to use in chocolate. So both chilies in the cream. So this is a 58% dark chocolate, really rich and smooth, just a little hint of vanilla along with the spicy and the fruity notes which make it pair perfectly with cream. So just let the cream melt the chocolate wafers. Try not to get too many air bubbles in there, just to leave it to do its thing. Once that's all combined, I'm just going to blitz it up. This is my favorite bit, when it just starts suddenly coming together, really luxurious chocolate. So that's all melted and combined really nicely. I'm just going to blitz it up so you've got chunks of this kind of chewy chili in the chocolate. Okay, that's all done. I'm just going to put it to one side, and once our tarts are cool, we can fill that. So my second ganache is even simpler. It has Szechuan chili oil, which I'm just going to add to the double cream. Do this to taste, however much you like. I like it quite spicy. That goes in there, just bring that to a scald. And I'm using the same 58% chocolate as we used before. So while that's heating up, I'm just going to scoop in the ancho ganache. So it's got all these really lovely gooey bits of the chili infused in with the chocolate. So you want the cream just hot enough to melt chocolate, no hotter. I'm just going to transfer this into a jug, make it really easy to pour. And pour that over for a nice smooth finish. And that is done. Just going to put it in the fridge, let it set. Again, if you want to get more chili flavor, you can leave it overnight. The longer you leave it, the more of a kick you'll get. But we'll just put it in the fridge till it's set and then we can do our garnish. So I've got untoasted walnuts and we're just going to smoke them over a really, really medium heat. So I've got the wood chips here and I just soaked them for about an hour. And I'm going to heat them through so you're not actually steaming the nuts. You want to get the smoke rather than the steam. And just on a really, really low heat. And I'm going to give that about 10 to 15 minutes, just until you can smell that the smoky flavour is starting to come through rather than the steam from the water. So that's been going for about 10 minutes and most of the steam has escaped from the chips. Starting to get a really lovely smoky flavour. I'm just going to choose the good walnuts and make this little smoking pouch. It's very, very low key, the whole thing. You want to make a nice little pouch that's going to fit over the top of your saucepan. And just a few incisions to let the steam in, not too much. And I'm using untoasted nuts because there's enough heat from the chips to actually give them a really lovely toasted flavour. So fit that over the top. And wrap everything to seal in all the rest of the smoke. I'm just going to put the finishing touches to the tart. So I've got my cold smoked walnuts and I've coated them in some tempered musique française with just a little bit of sea salt. And I'm going to paint them gold, just a little bit of edible gold, which takes really nicely to the chocolate. And with the gold, it's always worth brushing it on. It takes a little bit longer, but you just get that really lovely shine. And now I've got the crumble, which was just the trimmings of the pastry from before. And I'm just going to add some more of that just for a little bit of extra texture. So they're all finished, and this is my rye chocolate tart with Premiere Etoile ganache infused with Ancho Chilli and finished with smoked walnuts.